The San Antonio Spurs are widely known as one of the greatest franchises in basketball history, with Greg Popovich being primarily responsible. He's a first-ballot Hall of Fame coach, who many declare the best of all time. He's won 5 championships with the Spurs, one in 1999, 2003, 2005, 2007, and of course, 2014. And not to mention, he has 3 Coach of the Year awards. Everything about this team is fantastic, from their beautiful brand of basketball to the city, and is home to some of the greatest forwards ever. But over the years, things haven't looked so great, especially with the departure of Kawhi Leonard, who forced his way out back in 2017. Even with that being said though, what if I told you things were finally heading back in the right direction? Let me explain. As we all know now, San Antonio will have the first pick of this year's NBA draft, which means they will definitely draft the 7'5" prospect who is without a doubt one of the most intriguing NBA prospects we've seen since LeBron, or maybe some would even say Zion Williamson. Because let's not forget, he weighs over 280 pounds and has one of the highest verticals in NBA history. But still, we think Wembanyama might be even more attractive than that freak of nature. We all know just how good Victor is, but how exactly could he help the Spurs in his rookie season? Well, for starters, he would really elevate their defense, especially in the paint. The Spurs ranked 28th in points allowed in the paint this season, which is obviously awful. They don't have a rim protector at all. After the Jakob Poeltl trade, their 2 best rim protectors were Zach Collins and maybe even Jeremy Sohan. So yeah, with those players are your best rim protectors, there is no way you're going to win over 25 games. And it's not unrealistic to think he could completely change their interior defense as a rookie. We've seen how great rim protectors impact their team's total defense when they're on and off the court. The perfect example is Anthony Davis for the Lakers. Both this season and last season, the Lakers looked like the Spurs when Davis was on the bench or out with an injury. But with Davis, they were one of the best defensive teams in the NBA. Or another example is Rudy Gobert in the Utah Jazz. They were top 10 in points allowed in the paint when Gobert played for them. But after he left for the Timberwolves, the Jazz shot all the way down to 24th this season, which is absolutely insane and shows just how elite of a player Gobert is. And that's just a couple of examples. Rim protection is the most valuable aspect of defense and has always been. Having a great rim protector makes the perimeter defenders look like clamp gods. Because even if they're weaker perimeter defenders, if you have a huge 7-foot shot blocking monster in the paint, the offensive player isn't even going to want to blow by you just to get their shot swatted into the bleachers. In the Lakers vs. Warriors series, Anthony Davis was so dominant on the interior that the Warriors literally had to call plays to get him out the paint just so they could score. And I'm not saying Wembanyama is going to be AD or even Rudy Gobert in year 1. I'm just simply pointing out how valuable an elite rim protector is to have on your team. The best thing the Spurs could do is to sign, trade, or draft strictly perimeter defenders. That's the key to having a great defense. Because while I did say great rim protectors look like clamp gods, that isn't something you can always depend on. Your center could get injured or go to the bench for a couple of minutes, or he's just having a bad game defensively, which happens to the best of them. Just look back at the Utah Jazz. Rudy Gobert locked down the paint, but they literally had no really good perimeter defenders or defensive stoppers, so they were continuously getting exposed on that side of the ball come playoff time. Now, I'm not saying go trade for Drew Holiday or even Alex Caruso, but signing or drafting younger players with the physical and mental makings of a good defender could take you a long way. And we all know how good the Spurs are at scouting and drafting really good to Hall of Fame type talent. And I know some will say we shouldn't assume a rookie to be elite defensively in year 1. Well, I've got a counter to that. I've got 2 names for you: Evan Mobley and Walker Kessler. Both of them were some of the best defensive centers in the NBA. Kessler finished 4th in blocks this season, and Mobley finished 8th. I could honestly see the same thing for Victor Wembanyama, or more. He's got the length and defensive instincts both of them have, along with a good motor and ability to defend in different coverages. And he isn't just a rim protector though. He has the ability to defend out in space, and he's actually a really good transition defender. He just never gives up on plays, and I could see him getting at least 10 big chase blocks next season, and that makes him versatile. Other impactful defenders that could help him and the overall defense is Devin Vassell, their 2-way guard. He can do just about everything on the court defensively. He can defend 3 positions at a good to really good level. He also has a 6'10" wingspan, which is kind of insane given the fact that he's 6'5". He uses those long arms to be disruptive both on and off the ball. He's overall just a really disciplined defender who excels and thrives as a team and help defender as well. And while his team did have a horrific defense this year, it's definitely not his his fault. The other noticeably good defender is Jeremy Sohan. He's a really versatile defender who can defend 4 and sometimes even 5 positions on the court. They now have major building blocks defensively, and given how well the Spurs draft, they might snag up another good defender with good two-way upside. So now that we've covered how he can impact the Spurs defensively, let's talk about what he can bring on the offense. The Spurs had the second worst offensive rating this season. To put it simply, they were bad. They were also 26th in three-point percentage and 25th in field goal percentage. So yeah, their offense was almost worse than their defense. But there were 3 positives to their offense this year, believe it or not. For one, they were 5th in assists, which is typical Spurs basketball. And they were 2nd behind the Golden State Warriors in pace. And 3rd, they were 7th in offensive rebounds. So there were some positives with all things considered. Offensively, Victor's game relies heavily on mid-range scoring, and I can't stress enough how amazing that is. What completely separates him from someone like Holmgren is that Holmgren gained traction from having quote-unquote guard handles and shooting the 3. He didn't really have a scoring bag that, as knowledgeable fans knew, would translate to the NBA. And let's slow down. Of course, we all know Chet got injured and hasn't played one NBA game yet, so it isn't really fair to compare. But even in college at Gonzaga, Holmgren didn't possess elite post-scoring and mid-range moves. My point is, as a 7'5" big man, the mid-range will always be an open and high-quality shot for him, even against NBA-level defenders. Once he gets used to how physical defenders get in the post, you won't be able to contest his shot. He has just about every post fadeaway you could think of. This is something similar prospects like Chet Holmgren and Bol never had. His face-up game is advanced, and most of the shots he creates doesn't even involve him backing down defenders. So his weight probably won't be the problem that many people think it might be. His game doesn't revolve around backing everyone down like prime DeMarcus Cousins. And it's not like he's being forced to play that way either. That's just Wembanyama's game. He's most comfortable shooting fadeaways from all different angles, off of many different setup moves. It is absolutely clear the kid has been in the lab training with the best trainers in the world. His footwork and ability to counter the defense is highly impressive. He's going to open up the game a lot for Devin Vassell and Keldon Johnson, the Spurs' 2 best scorers. Because I don't care what you say, the defense is going to have to focus a lot on Victor, even in year 1. He's 7'5" with great touch. Even if you throw a strong defender like Draymond or Adebayo on him, he could just rise up over him. He's just got the height. Johnson and Vassell averaged nearly 20 points while having a couple of flaws in their offensive games. Next season, that will improve. And with the addition of Victor, we can expect their offense to be better than 28th. And I'm not saying it's going to jump to a top 5 offense next season or anything like that, but I don't see them being 28th. They'll be in the 20s, most likely, but not 28th. Another plus is his 3-point shooting, and he doesn't really need to be shooting a ton of threes, but remember, the Spurs were 26th in the 3-point percentage. So I don't think him shooting a few threes a game wouldn't make them a worse shooting team in all honesty, so why not let him chuck up a couple? The Spurs ball movement is something that hasn't been talked about when it comes to Victor's development. He is going to learn team basketball the day he puts on a Spurs uniform. And you can't learn it from any other team in the NBA that early other than maybe the Warriors, of course. If he can transform into a quality big man passer, I don't see how he isn't an all-star in his 4th or 5th year. Maybe earlier, who knows? But all in all, he has a bright future ahead of him. He has the talent and the skill to be effective on both ends of the court next season. Not saying he's going to average 25 and 10 and lead the Spurs to the NBA Finals, but if he stays healthy, and that's a big if, there is no way he shouldn't win Rookie of the Year. But what do you think? Will Victor Wembanyama one day lead them to the promised land? Let us know in the comments down below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.